Poland once again scrambled fighters on Tuesday morning for the third time in 8 days in response to Russian airstrikes around the Ukrainian city of Lviv, which is 25 miles, 40 kilometers, from the Polish and therefore the NATO border. There were no reported Russian incursions into Polish airspace. But Poland is becoming more vigilant in reacting to Russian activities close to its borders after prior reported violations of its airspace by Russia. Poland is a well-known supporter of Ukraine's resistance to the Russian invasion and has been one of the leading NATO countries warning of Russian aggression. In the past, Poland has had a tense history with Russia, and this historical antipathy appears to be a driver for Poland to take an aggressive stance against Russia, which has led to accusations and counter-accusations against each other. This seems to be the driving force behind Poland's historic level of rearmament, which has transcended mere rhetoric since the start of the Ukraine war. The Russians, on top of launching strikes very close to the Polish border, despite Polish protests, have also routinely threatened Poland, as a matter of course, because of its support of Ukraine. This week, the Russian deputy chairman of the Security Council, Dmitry Medvedev, suggested the possibility of extending the Russian security buffer zone up to the Polish border. After the Ukraine war, Poland would consider itself a target of Russia's future military operations. Medvedev is well known for his role as the Kremlin's attack dog, making some of the most outlandish and provocative statements against the West. He serves as the voice of the Kremlin hardliners, often making Russian President Vladimir Putin appear reasonable in comparison. Medvedev's statement is due to the United States considering sending Ukraine long-range cruise missiles that would be capable of striking deep inside Russia from unoccupied portions of Ukraine. So in order for Russia to have a buffer zone safe from these long-range cruise missiles, it would have to occupy all of Ukraine and re-establish the Russian border with Poland. It is highly speculative that Russia, under its current mobilization criteria, has the manpower resources to occupy all of Ukraine and suppress a hostile Western Ukrainian population at the same time. Because a large portion of occupied eastern Ukraine is home to ethnic Russians, rear security is less of a concern. This, however, is not a luxury for Russia in Western Ukraine, where there are significantly fewer ethnic Russians. These airstrikes near the Polish border, coupled with Medvedev's threats, are the latest examples of the threats and rhetoric driving Poland's military buildup. Poland has allocated 4% of its GDP for defense spending in 2024, surpassing NATO's allocation of 2% of GDP for defense guidance. Poland has stated that it intends to increase defense spending in 2025 to 4.7%, 5.0% of GDP. This is a significant increase in defense spending during a war that seems to be winding down in 2025, as evidenced by the increasing public efforts of Ukraine, the G20, China, Turkey, and Qatar to find a path towards a ceasefire and actual peace negotiations. Poland maintains the third largest armed forces in NATO behind the United States and Turkey. Poland has pledged to not only have one of the largest militaries in NATO, but also to equip its military with the most advanced weapons available. Poland has purchased 32 F-35 Lightning II fighter jets and is starting to take delivery of them in August 2024. It has also agreed to purchase hundreds of US-made advanced air-to-air missiles, 48 Patriot air defense systems, and 96 AH-64 Apache helicopters. Poland has also signed an agreement to purchase and manufacture under license 1,000 South Korean K-2 main battle tanks and K-239 MLRS systems to augment its US-made HIMARS systems. These and other weapons agreements will replace all of the old Soviet equipment in Poland's arsenal, making Poland the most dominant NATO country in Eastern Europe and the Baltic. Poland's military buildup will enhance its influence at NATO headquarters, enabling it to assert its Eastern European perspective and advocate for a more assertive stance against Russia. This is not to suggest that Poland is actively seeking a conflict with Russia. Rather, it is strengthening its defenses to establish a genuine deterrence and a formidable capability in the event of a conflict with Russia. Despite this capability, Poland appears to be making a political choice to gain the influence it hasn't had in recent history. At the beginning of World War II, Poland found itself caught between Germany and the Soviet Union, relying on the United Kingdom's patronage to set up a free Polish government in London during the war, only to become a client state for the Soviet Union during the Cold War era. After the Cold War, it had to adapt to a market economy. Poland does not have the economic stature of the richer EU countries like Germany and France, so it will never have a significant voice in the EU based on GDP. However, a strong and modern military in the strategically important Baltic region will allow Poland to play a significant role in NATO's defense policy, which will translate across Europe. Poland's military capability will most likely give it a place at the EU table, as its hard power will be key to European security. It also means that Poland's self-interest will be to resist an EU army, as it will provide significant hard power in the EU that could rival France and possibly Germany. The issue is that Poland's economy is too small to provide it with significant influence in the European Union, particularly if it allows the EU to form a military, which will be influenced by the richer EU nations. A strong military and NATO alarm over Russia will not only put it in a position to control its own destiny and influence wider Europe, even without the Ukraine war continuing.